Bill Clinton said something interesting on The View, which I can't believe I'm saying, but he did. And they asked him, "What's your biggest concern about this current administration?" And his answer was that the courts won't hold until the midterms, which I thought
Mhm.
was ominous for a former president to say. Let's say that they do. Nevertheless, even if they do, this administration has only been in office for 5 months. They can wield enormous damage by that point to such a degree where I'm not even sure how much the Democratic Party can focus on a future when everything else is on fire. Do you
Right.
share similar concerns about messaging and also just the act of legislating under these circumstances?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would say, to Bill Clinton's point, we got to be honest here. There's a lot of people who need to go to prison. Anybody who's not saying that is lying. They should know, looking at what Trump is doing, looking at what Stephen Miller is doing, looking at what Elon Musk did, these things are out and out criminal. You're talking about illegal, unconstitutional cuts to pediatric cancer research. You're talking about cuts to FEMA. They're basically abolishing FEMA without actually doing anything through Congress. They're just getting rid of it. Department of Education, same thing. Fired 83,000 veterans, cut 50% of the Social Security offices. 250,000 public workers overall have been fired. They're getting rid of food safety inspectors and air traffic controllers. I mean, Meals on Wheels. I mean, this stuff is crazy. And every penny of the cuts has been totally illegal because the power of the purse goes to Congress. They pass something, the president signs it, that becomes law. You can't have the world's richest man usurp the power of Congress and the president and do whatever he wants and steal everybody's data, which, by the way, he did for his AI stuff. Like, they need to be out there saying, it needs to be a litmus test for Democrats. You need to be out there saying, Elon Musk needs to be in prison. Many people in this Trump regime, the DHS officials, the ICE officials, the people who are the stormtroopers who are actually blackbagging people and sending them to a concentration camp without a hearing, there's a reason they're covering their faces because they know what they're doing is illegal. They need to be locked up. If we don't lock them up, there is no more rule of law. Then it's all a fiction. Like, it's over. It's done. It's a wrap. We live in the might makes right world. We live in the world where power is power, that saying from Game of Thrones. I mean, that's where we're at.
To what extent do you view Obama's unwillingness to more forcefully prosecute crimes related to the 2008 financial crash? And I want to say also more specifically the invasion of Iraq and the essentially war criminal behavior that enabled that. To what extent do you think the failure of that administration to effectively or really prosecute that at all has brought us to this present moment?
Huge. It's absolutely huge.
In what way?
Well, it's huge because that was the beginning of the cracks where what you're saying is the law is now a matter of opinion. The law is now debatable. When they torture people at Abu Ghraib and Guantanamo Bay, and by the way, most of those people wound up being totally innocent. Well, the Bush administration is in favor of it. I'm against it. But hey, we look forward. We don't look backward. Well, every crime that you prosecute happened in the past. So what you're saying is law doesn't apply because I don't feel like it applies. So I'm only going to look forward. That is because Obama wanted to be in the good old boys club. He wanted to be a respectable American president, right? Well, when your predecessor was doing illegal torture and illegal wars and is a clear war criminal, and you decide, I'll look forward, not backward. Same thing with the housing crisis, right? You know how many people on Wall Street should have been in prison for fraud and he didn't prosecute those people? Well, that's the beginning of the end. So now what are we going to do? We're going to have another Democratic administration where they go, yeah, sure, Elon Musk committed the most obvious crimes in the world and Donald Trump is the biggest war criminal in the world. But hey, you know what? We'll look forward, not backward. Well, then again, you have laid the precedent now where any president in the future, if they decide, hey, I want the world's richest man to come in and cut whatever programs he wants totally illegally, well, now they could do that because you just decided they did it the first time, they got away with it, and I'm going to let him get away with it. So it is, I cannot overstate how big of a failure that was. That was a colossal failure, and that is one of the parts of Obama's legacy, which, he probably wants to sweep it under the rug. I would be shocked if he hasn't thought about this now, looking at the current state of affairs. I would be shocked if he hasn't looked at this and thought, wow, maybe I should have done some things differently. I mean, I honestly think that's one of the reasons why Obama crusaded behind the scenes against Bernie Sanders, is that he knows if Bernie gets elected and let's say he does single payer Medicare for all, how does that make my legacy look? How does that make Obamacare look? Obamacare looks like, small potatoes compared to universal healthcare, Medicare for all. And so I think he thinks about this. I hope he thinks about this, because if he hasn't thought about it, then Jesus Christ, is that vapid and soulless